Hello everyone, I'm back home from TIFF 2024 and I'm here to review a film that made quite a splash at Cannes and quite a splash at TIFF. I'm talking about Coralie Forjat's The Substance. I practically stayed away from all spoilers involving this movie, and I'm going to avoid sharing major spoilers so you can experience the film fresh on your own. But what I can say is The Substance is balls to the wall, absolute insanity from start to finish that you have to see it to believe it, but it's bloody brilliant. So what's the premise? The Substance is a horror film that surrounds Elizabeth Sparkle, a fading celebrity played by Demi Moore. After being fired on her 50th birthday, she's offered a procedure that will bring her a younger, more beautiful version of herself. There's actually a lot more to the story, much more, but I don't want to give you anything more than the setup. The TIFF program describes The Substance as intermingling bits of Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray, Jerry Lewis's The Nutty Professor, and Paul Verhoeven's Showgirls. That description really sums up the plot for this film, but I would also throw in David Cronenberg's The Fly, as there's a lot of fantastic body horror, up there with probably some of the best, if not the best, body horror I've ever seen in a film. So this is my first Coralie Forjat experience. She made a film a few years ago called Revenge that is supposedly very good. I'm dying to seek that out because I can already tell with The Substance that Forjat is an absolute force to be reckoned with. Her visual storytelling is explosive. The Substance is actually pretty thin on dialogue, but she's able to kind of tell this twisted story dissecting Hollywood's insane beauty standards and also the tortures involved with trying to meet those standards. She tells the story visually. It's horrifying, it's hilarious, it will have you squirming in your seat, you'll be rubbing your eyes to ensure that what you're seeing is actually happening. I mean, I heard a lot about the insanity of this film before watching it. However, I was not prepared. Like, this was actually crazier than I was expecting. And as the story progresses, Forjat dials it up to a 9, and then a 10, and then 11, and then cranks the dial even further, reaching levels that you had no idea a film could reach. And just when you think a nightmare couldn't get worse, it does. If you ever had a nightmare about like a tooth falling out, I mean, that's kid's play. That is absolutely nothing compared to the nightmare that's created here. I woke up the next morning and was even like, whoa, did that movie even happen? Did I really watch that? And I think a lot of what makes this film unique is how it's shot. It uses a very vivid color palette. It uses fish angles. It uses really, really effective extreme close-ups, whether that be, extreme close-ups of like disgusting chewing of shrimp or bodily fluids oozing from body parts. I mean, there's like low angles, there's symmetric framing. I mean, the entire film feels so meticulously storyboarded, and every shot feels thought through to evoke a very specific response. There's also a lot of shots that accentuate or intentionally gaze at body parts, kind of highlighting the film's core message and our odd obsession that we have with, having perfect bodies. When a story is told mostly through visuals, the production design kind of becomes key, and The Substance has a lot of striking sets that somehow feel kind of like a non-existent version of the 80s. It's like retro, but also futuristic. Like, a lot of the designs were actually giving me very like Kubrick-y vibes, with like the Shining's bathroom with the red stalls, or the Overlook Hotel's carpet pattern. And this is in contrast with the other designs in the film, which are like completely sterile, like where you can feel the cold tiled floors. Another big, massive achievement of The Substance is the makeup. Skin ripping, again, bodily fluids oozing, full-on body transformations. I mean, huge respect to the makeup team. You all had me completely gagging. This film really wouldn't have worked or wouldn't have been as stomach-turning if it wasn't for all this kind of like innovative makeup effects that is seen in the film. And I think that's really sold with the film's really impressive sound design as well, that really kind of enhances and highlights these really horrifying moments. But look, we've talked about this film's incredible craft, and we haven't even mentioned Demi Moore, who absolutely throws herself in this role. The first half is good Demi Moore, but the second half really gives her a lot to play with, and she revels in every single moment. It's like a performance that you never expected to see from Demi Moore, but has quickly become my favorite performance from her. Margaret Qualley plays Demi's doppelganger, and she's actually in the film just as much as Demi Moore is. And I think she brings to the role of Sue exactly what's required of her. You know, this is probably my favorite performance that I think I can think of that she's given. And freaking Dennis Quaid. Dude, he hams it up to a 12, 13. He's channeling his inner Nicolas Cage. He's clearly having the time of his life. I thought he was so fun to watch. He laughs like a madman and captures the vulgarity and the piggish nature of a studio executive to real nauseating effect. Now, if I had to offer any criticism to the substance, the only one I would say is towards the end, it actually does go to like code red crazy levels. And I can feel Coralie kind of pushing the dial kind of even further for shock effect. And I felt like that was the only time that I felt like the substance was kind of pushing to outdo itself just for the sake of outdoing itself, but didn't really felt like it was justified in terms of story. Again, I don't want to be too specific because I want you to go on this crazy ride and I don't want you to anticipate every twist and turn. I can literally hype up this film's insanity to the moon and safely say that it will not shortchange you on the insanity. I remember when they promoted like Longlegs, they marketed as like the scariest movie of the decade. But when the substance has a quote calling itself the most sickly, entertaining theatrical experience of the year, that is not an exaggeration. You can take that quote to the bank. Coralie Forshaw gives us a white-knuckled, audacious ride that attacks your senses as well as provokes some thought surrounding beauty standards. You know, the substance in the film comes with instructions to discard after use, which could also be seen on how actresses are discarded after their younger years of beauty has been used up. With a movie called The Substance, the film, I would say, is definitely more style over substance. However, the style on display here is unlike anything I have ever seen. I had so much fun with The Substance. If you're into really twisted movies, but ones that are actually incredibly well made, you're going to love it as well. I give The Substance a 9 out of 10. Now let's go ahead and talk about Oscars. Obviously, horror movies are at the bottom of the list of genres the Academy likes to recognize. There is a certain horror film that the Academy can get behind, but films like The Substance that kind of pushes the limits of horror, yeah, not so much. If The Substance placed at TIFF Audience Award, I would say there was a chance. I do think there is a chance that we could see The Substance pop up in makeup, sound design, production design, then maybe like an outside chance of Demi Moore in the cinematography. I think it's worthy, but I don't know if it'll happen. Honestly, you know, other groups have to come out for The Substance first. The Academy won't just go out of their way to recognize it on their own. It's a movie that the Academy will have to be like forced to reckon with. Like the Golden Globes is difficult because The Substance doesn't really like fit into a category of drama or comedy because it is kind of straight up horror. If they run it as a comedy, maybe there's a shot that they'll get in there. Maybe Demi Moore will get in there as well. It's a tough sell for awards, to be honest. For the Oscars, I'd say maybe around 2 is most likely. Makeup for sure, and then sound design. That would be like the 2 most likely. Then maybe an outside chance of production design and maybe even a more outside chance of Demi Moore. But those are my thoughts on The Substance. When you watch it, let me know what you thought. I have more reviews from TIFF coming your way, so feel free to hit the subscribe button. Follow me on Twitter or Instagram, links in the bio. Thanks always for watching, and until next time, I will see you at TIFF.